Hi, at Rentabike Vietnam, we believe the best way to explore this country is on two wheels. If you're a foreigner, you might be wondering, can I actually rent a bike and travel around Vietnam? Now, the short answer is yes. But if you look online, you're going to find a lot of conflicting information all about the rules and requirements, and this can make things feel a little bit unclear. So, in this video, we're going to break it down for you. First, we'll cover the legal side, licenses and permits. Then, we'll walk you through how to actually rent a motorbike, some of the scams to watch out for, and then finally, we'll answer a few of the most frequently asked questions that we get asked. Now, to drive any size of vehicle over 50cc, you need to have an international driving permit. And here you need to be a little bit careful because you need to have a 1968 Vienna Convention IDP. This is valid for 3 years. You can't use the 1949 Geneva Convention, which is only valid for 1 year because Vietnam did not sign that convention. If you have a 49 Geneva Convention and the police stop you, you can be fined and your insurance will be invalid and you might even get the bike confiscated from you. An alternative would be to have a Vietnamese license. This is something that long-term visitors or residents can get, and you need a visa that's valid for more than 3 months. You can then take the driving test, or you can even convert your home license to a Vietnamese license. If you're a short-term tourist under 3 months, then generally it's not possible to do this. There's a further alternative, and that is to use an ASEAN member state license. This is my Vietnamese license, and it allows me to drive in Vietnam, obviously. I can also use it in the 9 other ASEAN nations, and I've used it in Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand without any problems. We also recommend that you get an international driving permit to go along with this, just so that you don't have any problems when you're trying to use an ASEAN license in another ASEAN country. Sometimes in Vietnam, I'm not sure about other countries, but here, cops in the countryside, they might say that your ASEAN license needs to be translated and you have a certified Vietnamese translation. That's only true if there's no English on your license. If your license has English on it, then it is valid and should be accepted. This is another reason why it's good to get an IDP, and that will have English on it, and then the cops really can't argue with you. I did mention earlier that you don't need a license for any bike that's under 50cc. So if you're going to take, for example, a small Honda Cub, that's a great bike and you won't need a license for that. You just need to be over 16 years old. However, those bikes are not really well suited for a long tour, a trip through the mountains. So we don't allow those bikes to go on tour, and we think it's not a great idea and it's very uncomfortable to take such a bike on tour. Electric scooters are becoming more and more popular, and they could also be a good alternative. Now, the legality relating to these is that if it's not capable of more than 50 kilometers per hour, or the motor is rated at less than 4 kilowatts, you don't need a license for these. Anything that goes over 50 k's or has an engine that is more than 4 kilowatts, you're going to need the same licensing as a regular motorbike. We think these are good for around town, inner city, urban driving, where you can easily recharge. These electric scooters are generally quite low powered and they don't really have a great range. So we don't think that they're really suitable for touring for those reasons. Also, they generally have smaller wheels and they're not as rugged. So if you're going to be going on roads that are not so smooth, then these are not really that suitable. We also don't think that they're really reliable, as the batteries can degrade quite quickly and you can quite easily be left in the middle of nowhere with a dead battery. Renting a motorbike in Southeast Asia is a rite of passage for most travelers, but you need to be very careful about the legal requirements. You need to check your motorbike carefully, check the contract that you're signing very carefully, and then you can hit the road confidently and deal with the mayhem that is out there. But also get out into some beautiful scenery and have some great cultural experiences. Here are some frequently asked questions that we often get asked by our renters. First one is, what is the fine for riding without a valid motorcycle license? And that can be anywhere from 1 million to 2 million Vietnamese dong. It is more for a larger bike, and it could range from 4 million to 5 million for a larger bike over 175cc. We also often get asked what happens if you have an accident when you're riding without a valid license. And basically, whether it was your fault or not, it's implied that it's your fault, particularly when the other person has a valid license. So you could be fined, you could be held criminally and civilly liable, and you might be forced to remain in the country if there's any legal procedures that need to take place. The police could also confiscate the bike, and then that is a huge headache. So this is why we don't want unlicensed riders. A lot of people that are here long-term as expats often want to know how to convert their home license to a Vietnamese one. And generally you need to have a temporary residency permit, something that allows you to stay in the country for at least 3 months longer. Then you will need to get a notarized copy of your driving license, and you will need to take it to the licensing issue bureaus in a major city such as Hanoi, Da Nang, Ho Chi Minh, and then simply fill out a form, pay a fee, and they will then transfer your license to a Vietnamese license. Many people also ask us what are the most popular motorbike routes or destinations, and we'll have to say that generally the Ha Giang Loop is very, very popular, the Hai Van Pass that runs between Hue and Da Nang, and also the northern part of the Ho Chi Minh Trail that runs from Da Nang all the way up to Hanoi. These are probably the most driven parts of the country. However, there are also lots of other really great places to visit and places that are much less touristy than those I've just mentioned. So get in touch and we'll happily help you get off the beaten track. So that's everything you need to know about licenses and renting a motorbike here in Vietnam. Hopefully this clears things up for you and makes your trip a lot smoother. In the next video, we'll walk you through the rental process so you know exactly how that works. So that's our full guide to motorbike licenses, rentals, and some of the key FAQs that we hear all the time. The most important thing is to make sure you're riding legally. Check your contract carefully and inspect your bike before you set off. Hopefully, that helps clear things up for you and makes your trip a lot smoother. In the next video, we'll walk you through the rental process so you know exactly how it works. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on our new videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.